We're gonna do that. I'm gonna hear about it. Okay. Hey. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I am finally getting a chance to sit down with Josh and Bethany from my favorite electronic band of the Ohio Valley, the Weird Lightnings. Welcome, guys. God, I think we've been talking about this since the first time I saw your band, but I understand you go busy. You live in Pittsburgh, Josh, and you have children and a life and a job and stuff. So you guys are busy people. You have all these things going on. So I appreciate. I get around. a little here and there. I do what I can. Try to make my little corner of the world tidy. I don't know if I'm your biggest fan because I'm sure you have other really big fans, but I know the first time I saw you guys play, which is I think the first time that you guys did play, I loved it immediately.
We weren't even ready.
No, we weren't ready.
You guys have been friends for a long time, I take it?
Yeah. We've known each other for a long time.
So how did it come that you guys became the Weird Lightnings?
Basically, after some major life-changing events, I decided that I was going to start coming from Pittsburgh to realize as much as possible to hang out.
That's awesome.
Because I just needed it.
Yeah.
I hadn't been doing it for a while, and just reconnected with everybody down here, and came to a Mr. Fancy Pants show at the brewery, and she was there, Bethany was there, and I forgot how much fun it was to hang out with her.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. I had that memory.
I forget all the time.
In the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I had that vague memory, Bethany's fun, but then actually hanging out with her, I was oh my gosh, I forgot how much fun she is. So I had just kind of started tiptoeing back into trying to write music after 10 or 15 years of not doing it.
Right.
So it'd been a minute, and I basically immediately after we came to the was we have to work on something because I want her influence.
Yeah.
Whatever it is I'm doing, and more or less that's how it went on my end. I don't know how it went on her end. How she came to her decision that okay, we're going to do this and taking it seriously. But that's how I did it. It was just good timing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was clapping and jumping up and down. I was very excited. And then I remember at our very first practice, you had a song. Oh, what song was it? Oh, Please Let That Be You. And I remember looking it up and practicing, and I was so nervous that I was like, please let that be you. I was barely whisper singing into the microphone. I was terrified to hear my own voice. It had been so long since I'd done anything like that before. I was like, I don't even know how to do this anymore. I don't even know. Yeah. But I'm still not really quite sure what I'm doing. But I'm having fun doing it, so.
And it did come back to you after a while, right?
No. Still waiting on that.
Feels like it did.
Shoot a draw.
I have to make a painful admission at this point. Podcast fail.
Ah!
I did not have Josh's microphone on.
It wasn't
the
on.
whole time.
But you could hear him a little bit through it, so I apologize because he was saying some golden gems, so go back and listen closely, but it's been fixed.
Oh, I'll say the same thing exactly as I said it before.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
You have the eidetic memory.
Yeah, I can do that.
Fuck it wasn't that great.
Damn it.
So anyhow.
Yeah. So I will say on her behalf that she's fallen back into it. That's what I would say. She's definitely into it.
I don't know. I felt like you guys seem so natural, but I also know when the stuff that I've done, whether it's this podcast or film or even when I played music, you always sit back and I think we're our hardest critics.
Yeah.
At least
definitely.
You probably should be, right? I mean, if you want to be any good, you're probably not too wise to think that you're too great from the start. But
it's never good to be that way, but there's also nothing wrong with being confident, and I think that's just all we want. We
Yeah.
just want to not feel like dread when we're playing our music, you know?
You always use that word. You've used it for a year. No dread live.
Is it
No
an
dread.
inaccurate word to use?
Yeah, I mean, we were.
That first
Oh,
show,
God.
there was a lot of dread.
Oh, we were sweating. Cold sweating, palms sweating after the first. We only played 4 songs.
It's scary.
I remember how quickly it went, and I remember we looked at each other. We were like, "We did it! We did it! Oh my God, we did it!"
the, I can relate because the very first time I ever played formally with a rock band was in Dayton, and it was a fundraiser, and nobody showed up because it was in the country except for every band in Dayton that was playing there.
yeah.
And we also played 4 songs, and it was an outdoor show, so I couldn't hear anybody very well. And at the time, I had really long hair, and I just remember that my hair was in my face, and that was good because I couldn't see anybody. And we only played our 4 songs, and I remember thinking the whole time, "This is horrible. Why
Right.
are all these people here to do this? This is
Yeah.
a terrible thing to do. We spent a lot of time practicing so that we could get up here and do this. This is terrible.
Torture
Yeah.
ourselves
Well,
in front
this-
of each other.
I can't believe that all these other people like doing this because this is awful." And then you get done and you're like, "That was awesome.
I
I
wanna
can't
do
wait
that
to
again."
Yeah,
Yes.
when's the next gig?"
Yeah.
And it, luckily back in those days I had the time and it was a good community where we ended up playing out a lot, so I got pretty comfortable with it. It's hard when you don't get to play out that often.
Yeah.
Oh, we know it. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of that nervousness. It's hard to get rid of that when it's spaced out between gigs and practice and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be a ton of pressure just in general because being in Dayton, with
The home
Bob
of GBV,
Pollard,
yeah.
Bob Pollard, being in the same town, that's just like.
And Kim Dill would periodically
yeah,
pop
she
into
used to do
town,
work
and
there too,
the
yeah.
Afghan Wigs would.
And,
They were just down the road, and there was a great band called Brainiac, which
Yeah,
never.
Timmy from Brainiac would.
Yes.
There. Eli Janney sometimes, I
Yes,
believe.
yes,
Yeah.
and Erica from the Heartless Bastards, who was just a kid then. I don't think she was even in a band at the time, but I remember her talking about she would sneak into the bars. I think she was probably only 16, and she was just kind of this shy girl, and she kept saying how she wanted to play music, and at the time she was, I think, too young to be in a band, and then I think so far she's probably been the most. She's been on Austin City Limits, so
Yeah.
to me that's pretty
I
successful.
think Guided by Voices have also.
Yeah, and they're, I mean, it's insane. Funny story about them, the first time I saw them, they were playing a birthday party at a bar, but it wasn't really a bar that normally features bands, so it was kind of similar to playing at Willing Brewing, and of course, lots of alcohol was flowing,
Sure.
and I didn't know anything about them at the time, and I just remember thinking, wow, these guys suck. And boy, was I wrong. But I know they played a one-off show, and I realized the power of GBV when we had tickets already. We went and bought them in the daytime, and this is at Canal Street Tavern. But there were these 4 kids there standing outside listening to the show that had driven from New York. Somehow they had heard about the show, and they could not get tickets. And they were sitting there and were like, oh, these, like, that's
Wow.
That's dedication
Sitting
to drive
outside
all the way
and
from New
listening.
York to see GBV.
Yeah.
And then they missed it, which is terrible, but makes for a good story for my podcast. So
Right.
peace out, y'all. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
That's a great one.
But yeah, it was a great town for music, and there so many other good bands at the time. I really feel like, especially in the period that I was there, it was just a great music town. Lots of Canal Street Tavern was always there, but then other venues would pop up here and there. And I played in one band that we just played parties all the time, and there'd be 30, 40, 50, 60 people at a party at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful music community.
Yeah.
Yeah. But enough about
Oh,
me.
to be young again. Do all that.
Yeah.
Oh, to not be old, just to be like your age would be
Yeah,
nice.
right. It's all, well, it's mostly mental, right?
It is. I really don't have a problem with being my age.
I mean, you're doing the, what kind of workouts are you doing?
CrossFit.
Yeah, you're doing the CrossFit and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
Serious business
I
right
can't
there.
do that stuff.
Oh, you could. It's it does take a certain amount of, like, I had to really dig deep the first few weeks to maybe the first month to get myself there and to not die at every workout. But
willing yourself not to die.
Yeah. It was just one of those things where it was either I had lost a bunch of weight and then I was starting to gain it again. I thought either I start something now or I go back to being 310 pounds,
Right.
which I didn't want to do. So I just kind of said, whatever it takes, I got to do this. And, not having a wife and kids and all those other things leaves you a lot of energy to focus on working out and podcast. And,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of the stressors that other people have in their life.
Yeah,
And
time
also
constraints,
take,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
time constraints and just noise in my head and just busy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of free time, I guess, and free brain space to consider things and to work on,
Pursue your interests.
yes,
Right?
my interest in
Yeah.
not just with the ladies. Mostly it's with the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my lady. It's my girlfriend.
Special lady friend.
Yeah.
Do you have
Podcast.
a pin-up calendar of microphones?
Yeah, I do. Sexy microphones.
Yeah.
I like the way they're shaped.
Ooh, yeah.
Baby. Anyhow, where did you come up with the name Weird Lightning?
Oh man,
That's
we
what
were
we are.
at first.
This is where
That's what we are.
you're just being who you are.
Yeah.
It was a process.
Oh, it was definitely a process, but when we landed on it, when those two words came together, we immediately knew
We
that's
knew.
who we are.
Yeah.
It's like buying getting a dog,
Yeah.
knowing
Yeah.
his name is Jerry.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's
Yeah.
a Jerry. But the first time we played, we were not Weird Lightning.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
No.
And actually, the posters don't even have Weird Lightning on them.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we are under a different name.
What was the name then?
Sleepy Ghost.
No.
No, wait. That was one of
That
them.
was one of the iterations. No, it was Sleepy People.
Sleepy People.
Sleepy People. Oh.
And now we have bedtime. Eddie
Yes.
and Matt and Melody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we hope to have some collaboration with them, and we can be
Weird bedtime.
Weird Bedtime
Ooh.
Yeah.
someday.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We did a little. People got a kind of a preview of that at the
Christmas, right?
Christmas show.
Oh, the Christmas show.
Yeah.
You know how you talk about when you start to work out those first couple times, and you're just like willing yourself to stay alive. That was how every show that we played up to the Christmas show. That's how it felt. I think for us, we're just not. When that curtain rose too.
Yeah, we kept
It's like,
asking
oh my God,
ourselves
I
like
don't even know if my feet are attached to my body yet. I haven't checked everything. I'm not ready for.
But I think we kept asking ourselves, kind of maybe not to each other, but in our own heads, like, when is this gonna like actually start being like fun, like it used to be?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think we were just both in a place where, a lot of stuff had happened in the year prior to us getting together, and I think we were both just on really shaky legs,
You mean personally?
personally,
Yeah.
and separately,
Yeah.
like individually, we were just both kind of, didn't have a lot of self-esteem going at that
Yeah.
time, and so we somewhere inside of us, we knew we wanted to play music, and we knew we could do it.
Yeah.
So we didn't bail on it, but yeah, we did our first few shows. We were just, when are we gonna not just feel like, this is really hard,
Right.
and one, second guess yourself, and to get into some like CBT therapy talk, like when are we gonna like cut out the negative self-talk and
Right.
stop questioning our own validity, and I think after the Christmas show was when it happened.
Nice.
That's when I
Or like during. It was like
during.
while we were
yeah,
playing.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily before. Before
felt
it was
better.
fine. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't as stressful. But
I thought we were gonna get some more time before. Do you remember? Because Ezra Hamilton played first, but he only had time to play one song, so
Yeah,
he
he
wasn't
had
up there for very long.
apparently he
We thought
had
he was
a
gonna play.
separate gig he had
Yeah.
to get to.
Oh, I see.
We
Yeah.
thought he was gonna play 2 or 3, and he only played 1. And then Mario came out and announced our name, and I looked at Eddie and was like, I'm
Oh,
gonna
we're
try
up.
really hard to not pass out and throw up at the same time,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
thought we were gonna get another minute to like piece it together, but we still just kind of had fun.
Yeah, and oddly, I remember feeling kind of like excited.
Yeah, well, and Mindy was out there dancing in front of us with her hairbrush.
Mindy-
I think
Oh,
that
that's
like
She,
took some
yeah.
pressure off.
But we had every Bridge and Tunnel band was kind of told to try to incorporate someone from outside the collective. So we chose Eddie, who's now in the band Bedtime, who also ended up playing at that show.
They were great.
We
Oh,
chose,
they're
yeah,
awesome.
they were amazing.
I heard it was really good.
They
Yeah.
were amazing. And
And this was at Towngate,
So
right?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
they
you're
wanna
up on
do
a
it
big
again.
stage with a auditorium. It's not like playing it Third Fridays where you're kind of on the floor and
Yeah.
everybody's sitting at a few tables.
Right.
This is like a formal
Yeah.
stage.
yeah, this
It's
is
weird
very
that would be
much-
the place where we found our comfort zone.
Yeah, it was very much, you gotta like, everyone's looking at you and you know it.
Yeah.
I think having a professional sound man, Josh Blakemore,
Yeah.
right? He, like,
That made me feel really good.
I was so
because I have
much
a
more
lot of,
comfortable knowing
yeah.
that it was going to be, everything's going to be at
Yeah,
right
we don't.
level.
Well, we don't have a traditional setup,
Yeah.
What with our, a lot of our stuff being played from the computer, playing over tracks and things like that. So that was great. He did an awesome job.
Well, and you also, you're a little bit more exposed that way. If you have like a loud drum set behind
Yeah.
you, that covers up a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
people like. That's where the drummers are important. We cover up everybody else's mistakes.
Yeah.
Love
Let
you,
me
Matt.
tell you. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it is tough. But sometimes when you have a big audience like that, where they're kind of back and you have bright stage lights, you can detach more than an intimate crowd where you kind of know everybody and you can look
Yeah.
at. I know that the biggest audience I ever played for, I think, was like 3,000 people at an
Wow.
outdoor festival with Shandar the Impaler. And I
Right.
just remember the drums were so far back on this big stage, and the lights were so bright that you could kind of see just a mob of people, but you couldn't really even see the people in the front row other
Right.
than some faces bouncing around. So you really did feel like you're just in this big, well-lit room with your friends playing
Yeah.
music, and versus when sometimes we play a party in someone's kitchen
And you're smushed and
people
yeah.
are standing right here and they're watching what you're doing, and so it is
Yeah.
a little bit more vulnerable. But no, I think that's great that you guys
It's fun.
took it. Within a short period of time, you guys were on a big stage like that,
Yeah.
and kind of found yourselves. And some people never do.
Right.
It's well, and you're also stepping into a very established music scene now, where, like you said, it's very traditional. So, I think all people, and especially artists, we tend to compare ourselves to other people, and so you see the bands that have been around for a while and very polished, and we have some very good musicians.
Absolutely.
Mr. Fancy Pants, of course.
Yeah.
Josh.
Mikey
Yeah.
Taylor, yep.
Michael
Eifrate, Old Northern,
Mm-hmm.
Brown Bear back when they were playing out, and
Yeah.
hopefully they'll be playing out again. These really well-honed bands that have been around
Yeah.
for a while and super comfortable on stage, and so that's
Yeah. Like Matt and Ryan and Sean, even just Friday night when they played it down on Main Street, somebody asked them if they made a request for a song, and they're like, I don't know, I bet we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Right now. And they just looked it up and they just did it. And meanwhile, the first two shows we played, I was up there just thinking, say the right word and hit
Yeah.
the one right key.
Yeah.
Just the one,
Yeah.
don't blow it.
Yeah.
And they're just winging it.
They have a lot of
They're
experience,
so,
though.
yeah.
Yeah,
they're
they have.
tight. They get it.
They've been a band for a long time. They play a lot more shows, and they've been
Different.
playing out. Matt's kind of new to it, but Sean and Ryan for sure have been
Yeah.
on the stage many times, and so it's not fair really to compare. It's natural to compare yourself, but it's not really fair to. And I can see where that's hard to feel if you feel like you have to match up to that standard. How that would be difficult.
Yeah.
Because it is.
I mean, we're really lucky to come in now though, because we have so many other bands. There's a movement,
Yeah.
There's growth. It's not stagnant. I
Yeah.
feel like for a while there wasn't a whole lot musically happening, and it's fun. It's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah.
Of a music
all this
scene,
stuff.
Oh, it's
yeah.
so much fun. It's so much fun to get together and talk to everybody and
Yeah.
just hear what they're doing and
Yeah, it is nice when, especially with the Bridge and Tunnel Collective, that there is this formal group of people that you can feel like you're part of something.
Very
and-
supportive.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
super supportive.
And of course, for you guys to walk in doing something that's non-traditional, that adds another level to it, because
Yeah.
even if you would have played the show as perfectly as you imagine in your head, there's no guaranteeing that the audience would have accepted it.
Right.
Right.
Because they were used to seeing a bunch of different other things that were
Yeah.
all still pretty similar to each other. And as it turned out, that everybody that I talked to loved it. And
It was fun. It
yeah.
was so fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I hope this Christmas it happens, and it's not the next time we play. I hope we get to play once or twice before that. Yeah.
Yeah, that Christmas show, I cannot recommend it enough. So
Hopefully next year I make it to
make
the
sure
show.
you're there, because it was just so much fun.
I've heard it's one of those things that that you want to be a part of, that everybody talks about afterwards, and anybody that wasn't there goes, "Damn, I feel like I missed something really cool."
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you guys mentioned earlier that you write up here.
Oh yeah.
How does that? Because that's not traditional for a band to get together at a coffee shop, but it seems like it works for you guys with the style of music you're playing. So, how do you come up with your songs? Is there a...
Well, what we've been working on here, not so much making new songs, but adding new parts to old songs.
Finishing the old
Yeah.
songs. Yeah, we finally have gotten a little bit of breathing room to where we can go back and revisit those. We're still writing little bits of newer things that we want to get to later, but we've been meeting here almost like we're doing homework, and we're like, okay, we're going to tackle this part that we never had a chance to before, because we were always being like flung from either one show to the next, or the interim between shows was so busy, just so busy that we couldn't actually get together and work it out. So for a couple of shows, a few shows, we were playing songs that I did not feel were done.
Yeah.
They were done enough to play as a song, so people weren't like, oh, that stopped in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
But
You always felt like there's something more.
Oh yeah, it was never fully fleshed out. Yes, many of them. So we've been doing that, and it's been working really well. She was saying we just wrapped up a song that we
Played at your first show.
Yeah.
That's
First
awesome.
song ever. Yeah. So, but we have kind of further answering the question, like how do we even write our songs? So, obviously we use computers to generate our parts.
Synthesizers and computers.
Yeah. And so we each have, 8 to 1,000, like 15-second parts of songs, and we'll just keep those. Or like if he's at home working on his Mac and gets inspired, he'll record whatever he can, and then we'll both work on it together.
Yeah.
We'll throw it in we have a shared Dropbox.
Oh, nice.
And we'll throw the files in there, and then the other person can break it out and listen to it, and try to play over it, add to it, whatever, and then send that file back. I mean, ideally, that's how it goes. It doesn't always work out that smoothly, but yeah, that's generally how we do it. Typically, what we've been doing up until this point has kind of, I would start a song, and then I would get it to where it sounded like, okay, that's a part of a song. And then I would send it over to her so she gets an idea of what I'm going for before she comes in and then basically completely changes the vibe of it, which I love.
Yeah. Give you something that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Because I know what I would do.
Yeah.
Well, I know the next thing I would write for that song. Oh, I would go from this to this.
Yeah,
I have no idea where she's coming from.
Yeah. Especially Mappy Clint Pappy, that song.
Yeah.
It started off. It's like if you take a head of lettuce and then you chop it up and put it in a gallon, like shake it up and then throw that on the ground. That's kind of what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's fun. But I do so we just, like we said, we just started coming out here so that we can collaborate together instead of individually.
Ping pong back and forth,
It doesn't always work for us. So this is better.
Yeah.
Especially for trying to tidy up these old songs. It's particularly good for that.
I'm sure that the instant feedback of going, oh, I like that. So you go, instead of wondering.
Right, you don't have to wait a week.
Yeah, and wondering, and then if you're not talking, if you're texting, then it's,
you
FaceTime.
We started out FaceTime. I don't even remember how that started.
Our very first kind of brainstorming session was over FaceTime.
Oh, nice.
And
the modern world.
I
It's
know.
here today.
Yeah, it's interesting. But
it's not quite the same, though, is it?
It's not, but we could talk through
right.
one or
you
two
at least
ideas.
Got you at least had that kind of a nearly instant kind of feedback.
Right.
I remember hearing a story a few years ago about the band The XX, and hearing about how they wrote their lyrics as text messages back and forth to each other.
Oh, nice.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's the future.
How do you guys write the lyrics? Do one of you primarily write the lyrics, or just both of you?
We have a couple songs where she has written virtually 100% of what is being sung.
Ooh.
And then we have another few songs where
You too.
I have written virtually 100%.
And then some shared.
And then a little
It's
bit of
just kinda
shared.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's fun.
I think that's one of the nice things about collaboration, especially if you're working with a person or people that you do get along with, where they bring you something that is a next level above what you would think of. I know with film, if you're working with the right actors, you have something in mind exactly how you want it, and they bring you something even better than what you would
they can
expect.
kind of take it to the next level,
Yeah.
maybe that you didn't see.
And the bad side of collaborations when it doesn't work is that they can't get on the same page with you. That's tough. Luckily, the guys that I make film with, that when we're not on the same page, we keep working at it until we do get on the same page. And usually, we get that idea that we both, or all of us, agree on. It's better than any of our individual ideas. I think when we just keep honing in the best of each
That
idea.
amalgam of ideas,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And it is a lot more fun, I think, than just working on your own.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because you can get stuck pretty easily on your own.
Right, and I feel like sometimes we might have more fun in the writing process if we had a full band, and other times I think this is the only way I want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell exactly what's going to work in any given moment.
Yeah, because you have a certain vibe, a certain chemistry together that
Yeah.
you don't want to mess
Yeah.
with. On the other hand, sometimes that one extra person to nudge in an idea, like, oh.
Yeah, I mean we're the Rogers and Hammerstein of wheeling.
I've always heard it as Hammerstein and Rogers,
Oh.
or Hammond Rogers and Steinstein,
Ham sandwich of beer?
Ham sandwich,
Ham
and
sandwiches of wheeling.
and Stein of beer. Yes.
The Hambler.
Signs of beer.
So, do you guys plan on recording?
Yes. We have.
Well, Josh Taylor was going to
Well-
record with us, and now he's leaving us.
Yeah, Josh
We
Taylor.
don't like it.
Josh Taylor was awesome in suggesting we come record with him, but now because he's moving, he wants to, wait until that gets settled.
Yeah.
So, he did mention that, after that's settled, we can come down there and to Marietta and try to do some stuff. But also, I've had a couple other people say, pop over and maybe we can do a
Oh,
track
Joe
or two.
Zellick, too,
Yeah,
at the
Joe
Christmas
Zellick
show.
mentioned it.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have some people who we wouldn't necessarily have to burden any
Yeah.
one person to get something done.
Yeah.
So,
It would be really nice to have something professionally mixed to put on the, Bridge and Tunnels.
they have a radio show
Right.
now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it hasn't started.
Right. And so
Where's it going to air?
I don't even know. It's that
There's-
much of a
well,
Is
baby
it,
right
is it
now.
the new local station?
It is the new local
Oh, okay.
station, which
Yeah.
I actually, embarrassingly, I know very little about.
I've heard about it several times, and I don't know as much about it as I should as well.
Yeah.
Mikey seems to be taking a lot of the reins on this one, but he did ask for MP3s from of all the Bridge and Tunnel
Nice.
bands. So we don't really have anything right now that is radio ready at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
But we want to get there.
Oh yeah,
maybe this year.
we'll get there.
Well, and there's something to be said about road trip to Marietta to record where you have to be super focused and it's not like you can just buzz down there. I know that when we rented studio time and you were paying like $30 an hour back in the day. That
I
you were
forgot about
s-
doing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
super focused. You get up and you eat breakfast and you like
Right.
get over there and you drink your coffee and it's like
You got to get it done.
you're on a mission.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas later on when we were able to do a little bit of a setup at home where we would get casually record it, everybody stopped and then take a break to smoke a cigarette and show up when they would. And there wasn't that, and I think that can lend to the relaxed nature of the recording as well, that you're not too pressured. But I don't know, I like the idea of like the recording studio being this almost sacred place where you're really intense and
Very focused
Yeah.
on your work.
Yeah.
Only record in there. That's the only thing you do in there.
That's right,
It's
yeah.
very specific.
Yeah, it's a specific space, and your day is mapped out to do that. when Melody was on the podcast, we were talking about the time that Mange went on the road, and the thing that's cool about being on the road with the band is that your whole day, your whole weekend, your whole week, whatever, everything is about the band. You know,
Right.
you might break away here and there to send a text message back home, but when you're eating lunch, you're eating lunch, getting ready for the show. You're driving to the town to get ready for the show. We're staying in this hotel because we either had a show here last night or we have one here tonight. And so every moment of your life at that moment is about your band.
Right.
And there's something about just focusing on something
Yeah.
like that you love so singularly that's really a romantic idea. And also killing the people that you're traveling with because you
I was
spent
just
too much
thinking
time
of that
with them.
dichotomy.
Yeah.
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 But there's a certain
So-
intensity which I think is really romantic and really cool about
Yeah.
putting all your attention for a period of time into that one thing.
My
Yeah.
college band. I was just telling you, we drove down to Wilmington, South Carolina, to record with our bandmate's brother. Like just to do it
Yeah.
because we could back then. So we just piled everything up in my car and drove down there, and it was. That's all it was. That's all we did was we just sat in his apartment and ate pizza, recorded a whole bunch of songs.
Yeah.
Half of them didn't make the cut because
Right.
we were just being jackwagons. But
Maybe you weren't quite ready yet.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so much fun. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to get just two tracks, 2 songs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That'd
I'm
be
good
great.
with just an EP every once in a while.
Well, that's the nice thing about the technology that we have, that you don't have to do a whole album or a whole CD pressing, that you can do
Right.
1 or 2 songs, put
Yeah.
them on SoundCloud, and
No pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, who buys CDs even anymore? So it's all digital. So if you do 1 or 50, it's the same.
Right.
Where if you in the era of CDs, and even way back in the day when I was in bands that made cassettes, that's ancient. For those of you who don't know what a cassette is, it's magnetic tape that goes from wheel to wheel.
And a little plastic
Yeah,
shell.
Make
little
sure you have a
plastic.
pencil handy.
Yes, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
You get your old dual tape deck out to make copies to sell to your
Uh-huh.
friends for $2. But yeah, I remember one summer, me and my friends from high school, I think it was the summer after we got out of high school, we decided we weren't playing out anywhere, but we wrote and recorded an album basically in my garage. And only thing we had to record on, we did it GBV style,
Yeah.
one microphone through a boombox
Oh, yeah.
that we had to back the car, my friend's car, up to the garage to the certain place, set the recording stuff like at a certain place, and all the instruments are arranged in my garage in a certain way, and we just one take recorded
First takes
everything.
only, man.
Yeah.
First takes
Yeah,
only.
yeah. And if a car drove by, towards the end of the song, you would hear it, and in fact we had one song called the driving song, and right as the music's dying out, a car goes by. It was perfect.
Wow.
And it was
I love
such
stuff like
a
that.
Yeah.
it was such a fun summer. Every free minute that we had, of course, we were young and we didn't have life commitments. That we would be over in my garage, and why the neighbors never called the cops, I don't know. And I think we maybe sold 6 copies of it, but we had so much fun making it. And
That's what matters.
yeah, I think we played out once at OUE. We played like 3 songs during lunchtime.
Wow.
In that little cafe area with the.
God, back then
Was that what it
it was like the lunchroom, like when you first walk in the front door to the right there.
Yeah.
where the vending
Yeah.
machines were and
Yeah.
everything. It was pretty sterile back then. I haven't been there now, but it looked like a cafeteria.
Well, I've never actually been there. So could you be really specific
No,
about
no, no.
This Starbucks looks like something from Better Homes and Gardens compared to the old OUE lounge lunchroom. They didn't give a crap about our aesthetic
Very
pleasures.
industrial.
Yes, it was it was high school cafeteria. Yeah, not the new St. Clairsville High School cafeteria, which is awesome compared to when it was
Yes.
down in the basement when I went to school there. It's a shithole. Anyhow, what other bands in the Valley do you think that you're better than, that you hate?
What? 0?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Well, we were just talking the other day.
Who
There's
really sucks? No.
none.
Nobody.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky to have
We
so many
are.
good.
There's
good
so much
musicians.
going on nowadays too. There's almost somebody's always playing out somewhere really neat. I still haven't been up to that Black Sheep Vineyard to
Oh,
see anybody,
yes,
but I do
yes.
want to go up there and see somebody play up there sometime. I know it's a drive, but I love it's beautiful out there.
It's 3 miles from my house.
Oh,
Yeah, I live
okay.
out that
On is
out
it
that neck of the
250?
250. Yeah, I
Yeah.
live right off of 250 in Barton High. Come see me sometime.
Where?
Barton,
Barton?
Barton,
Oh, Bart. Jeez,
Bart,
come on.
Barton, Ohio. Yes, right outside of St. Clairsville.
Oh.
Yeah, you go after school someday. You're close.
I mean, I worked at Bridgeport, so I know
Yeah.
Barton.
Yeah, you know Barton.
I know Barton.
But yeah, when my friend Melanie worked there, if I didn't have anything to do on a Saturday, I'd go up and bother her while she was working. And my best friend Esther, I met her at Black Sheep when her group, the Howard Report, was playing. They were a string quartet, but they did everything from Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix to some of the old standards to straight up classical music. And yeah, it's a great venue. There's a lot of good music up there, and it's very relaxing. You go up in the summer, you can sit outside there's like a patio that loops around, basically an
Nice.
old barn, and overlook the vineyard. And
Wow.
I don't think we really have anything lined up for ourselves. I don't know. I was talking to Sean about getting us into Third Fridays, but I know they're booked through June or
They're
July or
set for
something.
up into the summer.
So.
are they really?
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no perfect venue, though. I mean, with all this new music and everything happening, I feel like there's no one place where I don't know.
Yeah.
Down on Main is great.
Yeah.
Pat is awesome.
He's really welcomed the local music scene.
He
hasn't
really has.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like the closest thing.
It's hard to
Place
get a
that-
venue, a bar, to appreciate and welcome original local music.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause especially in this area, it's covers
Yeah.
for a long time. And
I think that's most places.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a big audience for that, really.
Sure.
To get people to be appreciative of original music.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you do have a venue that appreciates it, that's how you build an audience for people that like that kind of music. I know, again, Dayton had a great local music scene, and we had no interest in going to see a cover band ever. We
Right.
only wanted to see original music, and so I think there are definitely a group of people that can be converted over to that. Holy Grounds over in Ferry, I think they seem to be
Oh, yeah.
pretty welcoming
Just forget about that
to
place.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing these days, just from like standing on the sidelines, is getting people to go out and do anything. It's so much easier to stay at home and
Fridays
Netflix.
are hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We always talk about like
Fridays are rough.
it is.
couching it on Friday nights because, man,
Yeah, that's what I missed the show this week because I was doing the exact same thing. And
Yeah.
when you add things like Netflix to the mix.
oh
and,
man, we
and
just
all these-
finished Dark. Sean and I just finished Dark on Netflix.
Right? And it's very convenient to just stay home and be very
Yes.
entertained.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you're really missing much, but you are, and that comes up a lot. That there's great things to do, and I think a lot of the people that say that there's nothing to do in the High Valley, they really don't want to
We've
get off the
always,
couch.
like, I don't know. Yeah, in high school, I kept hearing, there's nothing to do around here. We didn't drink or do drugs or anything. Like, we were just dorks. My friends and I were just dorks. We just made
Unlike
stuff
now,
up.
we're also
We're
cool.
not dorky now. We're totally cool.
You guys are like the coolest people
Yeah.
in this Starbucks
Right.
at the moment.
There
This
are
is
4
officially
other
the cool table.
customers here.
Absolutely.
Now that teacher girl left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just finished carving my initials in the table and everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just said a swear word on the podcast earlier. I don't know if anybody
It's
caught
not
that.
the first one. You've said like 3. I'm not tallying in this table, but
I am.
Yeah, I've actually tried to swear less after the Concrete TP podcast, where there was a lot of swearing, and I think I told a certain restaurant in Pittsburgh that they could GFY, and I can still hear myself saying that in my head to this day, and I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Yikes. But I left it on there because I thought, well,
that's what happened.
that's my life. That's what I did.
That's
I have to
the
live up to it. But yeah, I hope in the future that more people will take on the challenge of starting a band.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to see more.
We need more and more and more.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody that's not been in a band before understands like how hard it really is to start a band.
Well, clearly, as we saw Friday, just the women who were accosting Mr. Fancy Pants during their show to just, play this song, play this song, play this song. And they're like, do you know how music works?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, ultimately they did acquiesce, and they gave, they threw together
because they can do that.
Yeah,
like,
because
they
they're
can just do
amazing
it.
and they can do that. And they threw together a rendition of Nirvana's "Rape Me" for these people who really wanted some
By
Nirvana
request.
by request.
By
yeah.
request, yeah.
It was weird.
It was the most uncomfortable thing to hear yelled out in a bar.
Yeah.
But they did it, and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
They had
Like, we couldn't do that. We would be like, okay, just give us 2 hours and we'll have the drum tracks.
Yeah,
Right.
And then we'll see you next
We're gonna
Thursday.
program the drums. We're going to program the drums. We'll be back, and you can check those and tell us what you think of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Well, it's
process.
definitely a different skill, and certainly, I think it's awesome that they can do that. But I think that what you guys do is much more structured. I think, and maybe
It can be frustrating too.
It's not, as you said, you're still refining the song, so you guys have a much different approach where you're really getting down into the details. And I think just writing something electronically, do you have to program in what you're playing?
Sequence it, basically. So just take each part and throw it in front of the part that preceded it.
Okay.
That's
So there is a certain amount of you with the guitar, you can sit down. I have an idea for a song, and sit down and play the song
Even
through.
that, like, you record into your computer and you have to make sure like everything has to be lined up perfectly, and then all the tracks have to be at the right
trouble
volume.
with everything being on the computer, and I think this is a problem in the whole larger music scene in general, is just that with everything being done through computers, there's no more room for, like, people. I think people's ears are getting accustomed to hearing these perfectly on the beat songs, and stuff like early Pavement, early Guided by Voices, where the songs are amazing, but they're not super tight.
Yeah.
I think that would be hard for a young person to listen to, maybe.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like just that, you listen to anything that's popular right now, and everything is just right on the money, like every single note, like boom, boom, boom. And we unfortunately, are, because we're using computers, sometimes fall into that and have to.
It's really difficult to break
try
out of that.
Yeah, we have to try to. At times, we have to try to remove the more human elements of what we're doing, and then other times we say no. We're going to try to. Maybe we're going to leave it a little bit sloppier and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that there's a certain organic nature to those mistakes, and where sometimes the drummer's a little bit behind the beat because in his head that's how he feels it, and so he's not really. Some really good drummers, they know, and they'll purposely play behind the beat or ahead of the beat, but for most of the people that I know, they just kind of naturally play what feels right for them, and then some technician will sync it up on the computer and bump it all forward. And it does kind of take some of the humanity out of it.
Yeah, we're really limited with those experiences. Like live, we don't have a whole lot of room or freedom to just sort of jam out or roll with something different. Especially the first couple times we played out, we were so nervous that something wasn't going to kick in at the right time or something like that.
And I'm also like a big fan of electronic music and the Chemical Brothers and dubstep, and so I can also appreciate the straight up inorganic music, and so there's definitely room in the world for that. And it seems like on the computer, it'd be harder to get something off the beat a little bit on purpose.
Yeah.
You'd have to almost program that in.
Yeah.
And wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we want to get to the point where we can solo or something, or like Matt Klempa asked if we would be interested in doing some kind of like live jam night with Ron Scott and a couple other people, and that would be really cool. And I think we could learn a lot about what we can do on the fly, or how far we can kind of push some things through that kind of experience, but we're really limited.
Yeah. It's kind of tough.
Yeah. And I think electronic music sometimes gets a bad rap especially, like you said, kind of growing up with just hearing, certain kinds of music and everything. But it's work. It's still like work.
Yeah.
We're still getting up there and not dying or throwing up and passing out at
Yeah.
the same time every time we go up there.
Well, and I think just because you don't have well, you play guitar on some of the songs, right?
Yeah, I play quite a bit of guitar.
Yeah.
now, yeah.
But just because you don't have a drummer and a bass player in the traditional setup, I think that certainly in the rock bands, back in the day, we looked at electronic music as not being music, and
Right.
and
It's not
It's
real.
still stigmatized like that, I think.
a little bit, yeah, right. And,
Yeah.
But it couldn't be further from the truth, and I'm sure that Chopin would listen to Led Zeppelin and like, this distortion, they're just covering everything up. There's no layers, and they would look at it the same way.
Right.
But it is as valid a form of music as anything else. In fact, what I like about it is they push the limit of what music is.
Right. Yeah. And like you were saying, it's a different skill set.
Yeah.
It really is. So it opens up an avenue for other people to find that expression within themselves.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they're pushing it out through a computer or a synthesizer.
And I could see in many ways how it would be much harder because you have to almost hear it in your head and then put it into the computer. And the few times I've played around with different sequencing programs, I know Ryan Sears, he told me about an app. Ryko, yes.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten very far with Ryko. He sent me some stuff a while back, and when the time is right, hopefully we'll be doing that. But just learning the program I found was tough.
It is. Yeah.
Trying to take what you hear in your head and translate it into a computer, and then you have to 8 bars. Okay, so you almost have to have an
Yes.
idea what that is, where if you're just playing the music.
He does a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot with that.
Okay.
And just trying to make everything, like I said, sort of making everything line up. And like you said, what you hear in your head, it's not like when you play guitar, you can strum it out, try different pedals. It's like you have to go through 19 different processes to find the right thing, and then you have to distort it from where and then to make sure that plays out how you want it live, and then like you're up there playing guitar and singing and making sure all the tracks are. There's a lot going on at one time, and I think we'd love for more people to come out and see that we are maxing ourselves out up there.
Sure.
Just like every other musician does, I think.
Well, and playing along to a track like that, I mean, it's very unforgiving.
It is.
Right.
It doesn't catch up or adjust to you.
Like that
I miss
computer's
that
probably not
aspect
going
of
to
a
screw
drummer.
up. It's going to be.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I miss having a drummer who's like, the guitarists are not on time again, so I guess I'll play
Right.
what they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the noise of the cymbals and everything, they
Yeah.
cover up a lot, and you get
Yeah.
that wall of noise that.
So I think that's what we're trying to now that we have our bare bones, we're trying to cover them. That's why we come out here to work. We're trying to do the thing, like add those extra filler parts that sound perfect. Where do they belong? How long should they be there? How are we gonna mess with it? How are we gonna distort it? Reverb everything. Death. Yeah.
And just I love that detailed level of work.
That's where we want to be. Like that's really what
That's where we live.
we're there now. We forward all of our mail to that place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I know from my rock band days, it's very easy to go up. That's pretty good. It's got a good feel to it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you never look at
Right.
it again. But
It is weird to we can listen to them. Like I listen to them in the car on my way to work.
Yeah.
All the time. Well, when my daughter will let me on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Yeah, and a big part of our practicing, not practicing, but a big part of our songwriting is taking these files that we've sent each other in Dropbox and getting away from the computer for a little bit, maybe on the way to work or whatever you're doing, and listening to them in the car. It's suddenly things become very clear.
Yeah.
Like I need to do X here and I need to do Y here to make this song work. And I think that is just the most fun.
I always love the practice tapes from back in the day that when we were just jamming or whatever. And of course, that was a pain in the ass because you'd have to remember where it was on the tape. And,
Right.
Yeah, I remember. Okay, I'm going to be
Which
meeting.
tape?
Yeah.
Which side?
I'm going to be meeting with everybody, so I'd get it queued up in my truck. So when I popped it out of the deck, all right, guys, listen to this part here. But it is an important part of just kind of listening to all the raw material that you have out there and figuring out. I think that is really fun.
Yeah, there's a certain element of it being almost like this isn't a song that I've written. This is somebody else's song.
Yeah.
And you can hear it with different ears, so to speak. Yeah, there's just something about that kind of cruising around, doing,
Yeah.
And we
having
have
your mind
every
somewhere
iteration.
else.
Like, if you looked at his files, you would see every edition
Yeah.
saved.
Song name,
Like
song
the
name
entire
plus
song evolution.
One, song
It's
name
weird.
plus 2, song name
Yeah.
plus 3.
Yeah.
So you have every version of it.
Just
Yeah,
like
it's weird.
like Mark 1 through 24.
That's awesome. I do that with my scripts. I don't throw anything away. So whenever I do, especially a fairly big revision, I always do a save as .2, .3,
Yeah, yeah.
.4.
Oh, right.
Same
so,
thing.
I don't know who in the hell would ever go back and read, The Wedding Dilemma 4.2
Right.
when there's Wedding Dilemma 25.
Oh, I see
Right.
what he did here.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
I
it's
see
all
the
making
changes
sense.
here.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
when they archive my filmmaking greatness and let's see the progression of James Wodarcyk back in 2014, going into 2015 on the 25 different versions of the Wedding
But it's
Dilemma.
something. It's like it's right in front of your face. You can be proud of it every time
Yeah.
you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the tiniest details. That's what we've been adding. That tiny drum or bass, whatever.
Yeah, it was a bass pulse.
Tiny that thing. Like, remember when we added that really made a huge impact
Yeah.
on that song.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to be able to look at it that way.
And I think you kind of give birth to these creations. So as you evolve them, you're kind of leaving behind the old version, but you don't want to destroy it because at one
Because
point
you made it.
you
That
made
was
it.
your baby.
It was your baby. At one time,
Yeah.
that was your favorite baby. You loved
Yes.
it, and then it got better. Right?
Right.
And so it feels almost disrespectful. Well, I don't want to totally forget this thing
Right.
that I loved an hour ago before I came up with a better baby.
Right.
Yeah, I'm becoming more like that.
Good.
I'm typically the kind of person who's like, all of this other stuff is garbage,
Yeah.
and it's worthless. I'm going to get rid of it. I do the same thing with my visual art. I'll look at something and I'll be like, that's terrible. I am doing much better work now. I don't know why I was doing that.
Do you ever throw any of that stuff away, or you hold on to it?
Oh, I've thrown away a ton of art.
Have you really?
Yes.
That's a shame
It is a shame.
because your art is incredible.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I'm trying to get better about that kind of thing.
Well, it is part of the artist's mind, I guess. To either we're hoarders and we hold on to everything because we remember the moment when we created it, or we are just like, it's shite. And I don't want to have nothing to do
It's
with it.
garbage.
Yeah.
I just want to bury it. I don't want anybody to see it or hear it. Yeah, I get in that mode a lot.
Being just in general a person that pursues artistic pleasures, it's tough.
Right.
I feel bad for people that don't have an artistic outlet, and I think a lot of people that don't think that they can't, and that's
Right.
totally not true. I'm proof of it because I do a little painting and I do a little bit of
I completely
this
agree
and
with
that,
you.
and,
Yeah.
and
I wish everybody would try something.
yeah. I always say that if you, and I know some of my friends that were really hardcore artists would kind of get annoyed with me, but I always thought that anybody that picked up a brush and painted that they were a painter in that moment, and who's to say that because they weren't classically trained or completely skilled that they were not a painter.
I think someone like Picasso would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, that guy is classically trained. He could paint figures spot on.
Yeah.
And then you get
He rejected it, and
he kind of was like, I'm going to paint like a little kid.
yeah, and I think he might have even been somewhat jealous of people that were untrained that could just paint with pure emotion. And,
Yeah.
And I think, particularly with music, there's a big, kind of dichotomy between people that are very well trained on their instruments that sometimes they tend to not have as much heart as people who are beginners, but go for it. They have that sort of organic nature to them. I know talking to Melody, Mange was such a great band, and that was kind of,
Yeah.
she just started writing
They were
songs, and
great.
they became these great Mange songs. And if anybody listens to that podcast, I think it was podcast 45, Melody Ray.
Yeah, hi Melody.
Hi, Melody. We
Hi,
love her.
Melody.
Yeah, she's sweetie.
She's awesome.
She is.
That
Yeah.
new haircut's totally working for her, isn't it?
It is. And I
Totally.
love that she just said, "Oh, I want to play guitar," until she picked up a guitar and she
Yeah.
wrote a couple chords. I'm going to write a song, and she's like, "Oh, I use the chords from the song that I learned and write my own song," and just a really cool way of approaching it, and didn't wait until she was a virtuoso to get out there and play. And
Yeah.
and I definitely think that, of course, my friend Esther, who I mentioned before, as a violinist, she's very classically trained, and she can sit down and sight read pretty much any piece of music in front of her.
Yeah.
And I've gone to their practices, the Howard Report, and they will sit down and play a song, and it just sounds beautiful because it's a string quartet. And what they are talking about in between the songs are subtle nuances of, they're playing it perfectly, but at the same time they're tweaking it. Whereas in a rock band, like, dude, you fucked that part up,
Yeah.
and no, let's not do that there. And
It's a different vernacular.
it's so much different and more raw in a rock band, where they're literally just about anybody, I think, that's not an actual classical musician, it sounds perfect.
Yeah.
And they're just little tweaks to make it even more perfect. Whereas rock bands, you play some pretty sloppy stuff, but it feels good.
I
You're
guess
like,
we fall in the middle of that.
yeah.
You know what I
that
mean?
sort of precision, sloppiness, kind of.
Yeah, and a lot of tweaking the tiny, like talking about this was off by half of a beat in
Yeah.
this one spot.
Oh yeah, we
You
were
know,
we
like-
were just dragging a track around earlier because it was just not quite.
And there's so much else
good.
going on in the song. We don't even know if anybody else would have picked up on it.
No, they would not have.
Yeah.
But
Unless your friend was there and she
might have
Esther
she
noticed.
would have been like,
probably
oh yeah, I heard that.
Now, and that is nice that you said that you guys like added a drum beat, like what was it?
We just added like a sub bass kind of,
Yeah.
something that we can crank in our cars in the summer with the windows down to pick up the ladies.
The ladies, they like the bass.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that you can go back and go, there's just a little something missing here.
Yeah.
And
we're happy to be at that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We said forward our mail there because that's where we live
Yeah,
now.
we like.
We don't want to like pick everything apart. We don't want to kill the thing that we love by doing that. But
Yes, we like to sweeten the sauce.
ew.
Again, that kind of goes back to Radiohead, which is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah.
That, OK Computer, where there's, I think, 14 guitar tracks on Paranoid Android. And so I love that
Yeah.
level of detail. On the other hand, I also love some of the early grunge stuff where they did it in one take.
Or
and-
like early Mountain Goats, if you ever listen to them.
No,
Like,
huh.
it's like the dude in his like slightly out of tune guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, just. Yeah.
There's room for all of it, right? Or the
In
Ramones.
The older I get, the more I realize that there's room for everything.
Yeah. And that's probably the best, most healthy way to approach art is that everything goes and everything is music, and who's to say what's good and what's bad?
Right.
I mean, other than me, what's good or bad
Right.
to me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Ask
and
James.
everybody else should probably
That's a different podcast. Ask James.
Yeah.
ask
Makes
James for
art.
bad advice.
Hey, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's absolutely free. Just do the like George Costanza. Just do the opposite.
Yeah. Things will just suddenly start working out for you.
So periodically, you guys get together on Sundays, and this has been about a year now. Then, right? 'Cause
Just a little over a year.
Yeah, we had a big hiatus from Christmas on, like after the Christmas show. I feel like I don't know.
We had
maybe
a
got
pretty big
together.
hiatus from last summer, from June throughout
We
the entire
did.
summer into the early fall. Then we had another hiatus after Christmas.
Yeah.
We're just, it's just impossible.
We've
Well-
had a lot going on,
Yeah.
I think the important thing is through the different hiatus periods that you still come back to it, because a lot of
But
times
we
that-
always want to be doing it. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, he doesn't leave me alone about it, actually.
Yeah.
He's very persistent, kind of annoying.
there,
Good
there
stuff.
almost does need to be that one person that's like, yeah, hey, we haven't.
He is very good
Yeah.
about it. I mean, it's a plus.
Yeah, because we do sometimes need pestered into doing the things that we love and
It's all I have going for me.
Shut up.
I like that shirt, so you have that too.
Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing about this shirt. I dig the color of it and everything, but I just realized this weekend that it only has one pocket on it.
Oh, and the
I could have, if you would have asked me, like, you know, hey, how many pockets are on your shirt? Don't look.
Yeah.
I would have been like, two. And I just realized this weekend. So, you know, a little bit of insight into, you know, how I operate.
mono pocket shirt, and I notice you have the button right at the bicep
Yeah,
level
I got
for when
these-
you want to roll up the
I
sleeves.
got these little strappies on the inside. I want to roll up my sleeves and
You
show
could
off
almost
my
be like
forearms.
a military commander.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
need a tie, and then I would need to take the tie and tuck it into the
Yes.
inside of my buttons.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then Bethany could get a matching shirt. Have you guys considered uniforms for the band?
Sure.
I think we actually accidentally already have them because I bought a shirt that looks
pretty
an
much
awful
has
lot
that
like
shirt.
that about a month ago.
Because I could see you guys being very like, you know, if I was going to manage the band, I would have you guys
Hired. You're hired.
Yeah. Yeah, you, and then we'll get Leslie, your sister-in-law Leslie.
Yes.
And she'll, between the two of them, we'll
Oh,
never
man.
want for a show
Yeah.
or
Yes.
a recording
Yeah.
session. But anyway, yes, go on.
I would have you
More
guys
about
in
this shirt.
matching outfits.
Yes.
Down to the T, because I think boy girl,
Mm.
but still matching outfits, so kind of unisex, 90s going on 2034 kind of look where it's retro, ultra modern.
How about that period in the 90s where it seemed like every, I'm going to say, what, 96, 97, where it seemed like every band had at least one pair of silver pants.
Yeah, my sister had an outfit she used to wear that made her look like a straight up baked potato. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Oh
oil,
my God,
Just
Delamay,
leave it-
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
We should do those. We should get into
I
those.
remember, you know, coming from the like hardcore, post-hardcore scene in the 90s, and I remember when Girls Against Boys put out their kind of first big major label release, and the video for it, they were like, I think they were wearing, like, they had like the gold or the silver pants on it, and I would just remember being so like, ugh,
Yeah.
what have you done to
They went to
yourself?
they shopped at Rave at the mall.
Yeah,
happened.
they're trying to be rock stars. We don't
They
want
were
that.
trying to be rock stars, and but they were mine, you know, so they can't do that.
Yeah, it is funny how we get so tribal about our music, and that I think we've all experienced that. At least I know I have, where it's not cool to like a certain thing, or and to try to open myself up and not be so judgmental about any type of music or the way they're dressed or anything. But it really is. And maybe it's because music is so important to us that we want it to be a certain way. And
Yeah. We identify through it,
Yeah.
and so in a way we're all kind of elitist
Yeah.
about it.
I remember being really, again, I'll bring up Radiohead, but I remember being annoyed that all their music videos kind of sucked for all the songs I liked.
Yeah.
I really wanted the video for Paranoid Android
Oh,
to
yeah.
be this great video.
It's horrible.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Or it's the greatest. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess for some people, So we definitely have these expectations, but I think it's because it is such a strong feeling to us that we want it to be perfect.
Well, we choose somebody else's art, somebody else's poetry to speak for us.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that can, without us knowing it, I think that can just turn into this very, possessive thing.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate sometimes, I think, because you start getting the blinders and being like, no, I'm only this.
Yeah.
I'm into this. This is what I am.
It does become part of your identity, especially if you're a person who's, quote, into music, which a lot of people are, that you really can let that take over. And so when they do change something, or they put out a bad album, or they make a move that you don't like, or you feel like everybody else now likes the band that you only liked, you get annoyed. And
But you've been betrayed on some level.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird because none of it is actually true.
Breakups are hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you do feel like you lose a part of yourself, and it's
Yeah.
it's tough. But God, what would we do without music?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
We'd be really bored.
Yeah.
You'd probably be in Pittsburgh now, going, wish I had a reason to be in Willing on.
You're right.
on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'd be on some island,
Yeah.
paradise.
Is that how it?
The
You'd
big
be at the
pina
casino.
colada.
You know it.
I hate that.
You-
Downs gives me the downs. I hate that place. I don't like it.
I want it to be
Yucky.
more than it is. You know, I want it to be like, all right, it kind of sucks that it's this big thing that's destroying
It's so-
people's lives.
Oh,
but you know, I want to go there, and also, you know, I want there to be like a really fun dance club in there.
Yeah.
And there's not.
No.
It's two in the middle.
Yeah.
What I do, this kind of completely off topic, that's what we do here. One of the things I do like about going into the casino is I feel like I just stepped onto a whole different planet.
Oh yeah.
It's so crazy because
Well, I don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, just from the moment you get on that escalator and you get to the top, and there's these weird sounds, and it's just
Coming from all directions.
all
Oh, yeah.
directions, and there are people in their pajamas
Oh,
that have been
no.
awake
Oh
for
right.
24 hours, and right next to them is somebody in what they consider to be their best clothes, and you know, probably nicer clothes than I have.
Whatever that may be,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
it's the big night out at the casino, and then there's a lady with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth and her pajamas halfway tucked in, and it's such an interesting
different world.
mix of humanity,
Yeah.
and I think that people have their kind of casino personalities, which makes it an interesting cultural experience. But you do kind of walk out there going,
Yeah.
like it drains you
Yes.
Yes.
mentally and emotionally. I mean,
It's too much.
I always have fun, but then when I leave, I'm like, okay, I'm good for a while.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to hurry back.
And the idea that it's going on right now.
All the time.
Like
All
every time
the
you drop
time.
that,
All
yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
We could go over there right now and see what you just
Yeah,
described.
yeah. And we could go over there at 3 o'clock in
Bizarre.
the morning and probably see that. And I've never
Yeah.
been in there in the middle of the night on a Monday, but I bet
We should do that.
Let's go.
We should try
Tomorrow.
it sometime.
there's a gig for you
Tomorrow's
guys.
a
summer.
Monday.
Well,
I mean,
in the summer when you're off. Yeah.
Do you-
I really don't like it. I really
How about
don't
a
We
like
could
it in
stay.
there.
We could just go in and, you know,
Observe.
Walk
observe
through,
for a
yeah.
moment. Yeah. We'll wear our pajamas.
That'd be an interesting place to have a podcast.
Ooh, yeah,
wouldn't
it'd
be
be
able
hard
to
to
hear
hear everything,
anything.
right? I think that'd be a good place for a photo shoot for
I
Weird
don't know
Lightning.
if I could focus. I don't think I could have a conversation in
Yeah.
there.
Could you imagine playing a gig there?
No, where would no?
I
no.
think-
Sean. Well, they played that. What was
That-
it? Battle of
that-
the Bands.
Yeah.
that was in
Well,
there.
that.
But they do that in a
that
separate
stage-
room, right?
that's a
That
nice
ballroom was
ballroom.
good. Yeah,
The
that
ballroom,
ballroom was
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
The stage is so high.
it's
It was
really-
crazy. It was weird. But
You guys
Oh,
in
no.
like prom attire from when they had the local prom, but you go to the casino and you have like nice cocktails, and you get all your band photos done in front of like slot machines and a roulette table, and it's very like high life on the Riviera casino
yeah.
people.
Can I wear? Wait. Can I wear like a gold tracksuit with stripes?
Oh yes.
That's what I want.
I mean, you're kind of copying off of my Ryko MC
Oh, yeah.
tracksuit.
Can I just
Tracksuit
borrow your tracksuit?
Well, as long as yours is gold, mine's going to be bright red, Run DMC style.
Oh,
Adidas
yeah, right.
without the laces.
Yeah, no.
All the way. That's my
I'll wear
joint.
heel. I'll
Bucket
wear
hat.
like stiletto pumps.
With
Fine.
with the tracksuit, yeah.
I could always use a couple extra inches. James.
Moving
no.
on.
No! No!
Of height, of height, of snow.
Snow.
Yes, we get it
No.
now
No.
because you're a school teacher, and more
Yes!
snow means that you get the time off.
Yeah,
of-
but you know what? Like, I've had it. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done here. We've
Right.
had 3 breaks since December.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed maybe one of them.
yeah,
I'm over it.
yeah,
Put me back to work.
yeah.
I'm not a slave to routine or anything, but I like to work and I like what I do.
Yeah.
I need it. Oh, summer? Okay.
Yeah.
By the end of July, I'm pulling my hair out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ready to drop kick. I love my
Yeah.
children, but I want to drop kick them by the end.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And they probably feel likewise.
Oh, no. What's wrong? No. About me?
Who can make a macaroni and cheese?
Oh, man. They don't want to eat anything.
Kids.
They don't
They're
Do,
anymore.
the
do they
worst.
realize that you
They
guys are
don't.
rock stars?
Kind of. They jam out to our, like when I'm listening to the songs at home, and I put it on the big speaker in the kitchen. They'll dance around. Gideon knows them.
Yeah, I'm
He'll
extra
dance
proud
around
if,
to 'em.
if one of her kids is into something we've done. Like,
That's good.
It's usually like our measure of like how are we doing.
Sure.
And The kids dance around to it in the kitchen. And Gideon kind of likes the dark stuff anyway, which is sort of where we come from. So he's going to be a weird dude. He's going to be a weird one. But it's right up his alley. So I know if he likes it, it's good.
Yeah.
Right.
He's 7.
Yeah. Well, it means that you have struck a chord somewhere, that it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
My last kind of question that I'm going to pose to you guys, because you guys have been very gracious and allowed me to run well over the usual hour.
Oops. I don't even know what time it is.
No, I love it. I don't know either. That's good. We don't want to know what time it is, but we're going on 119 into the podcast, which is awesome. But the one thing that I notice around here that is kind of distressing as far as the music scene is there's not a lot of young people.
I know. Where are you? Where are they? I don't know.
That's taking the time to learn an instrument. Is that, you think, part of it?
I don't know. I mean...
Or just taking the time to put a band together.
Yeah, because I teach out at St. Clairsville, and I've taught at Bridgeport.
So you know the
just on this side of the river, but there are kids who are very much into music. They have a wonderful music program out there, so that encourages. It's competitive too. So and it's not just vocally, but I think it's different. I think they know it's different for them than it was for us, because for us, you could, like you said, pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and like you probably had buddies who were playing, or you knew people, and you just had to make friends with them. You know, as long as you weren't like a total asshole that like people would let you play. Kind of like with what we're doing, I've noticed a lot of kids are starting to like make songs on computers. But I do have, like, I always have like 3 kids who are super metal. I have a student right now who knows Russian, like speaks and reads fluent Russian, and so he's this metal band. They go to CA House to record, and then he'll come and play all the songs for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're amazing. They're so good. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just fewer kids, like that's their pastime. You know, like some kids just did it, and you know.
Well, but I think it is different, like you were saying. I think a lot of kids who are making music are sitting in their bedrooms making music.
Yeah.
They're,
not necessarily putting a band together and playing gigs.
Well, there's no place. I mean, the complaint out here is there's nowhere for them to play in St. Clairsville. So.
I mean, I would love to hear what some 16-year-old
Children's
has
Museum,
put together in his bedroom, on his computer or whatever. You know, I would love to see what's going on. But
because maybe they are doing what we're not hearing. But even like the post-college years, the 25-year-olds, where I mean that's when I was really into playing music, and I'm in terms of just the local bands, I'm not seeing a lot of bands being formed, and maybe it's because they just haven't had a chance yet. Maybe that culture will take off, but. I guess when you have the distractions of the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all those other things that we had that thing when I was a kid where there was, I think most of my friends didn't have cable TV. Yes, I'm that old. And so on the weekends, there was nothing to do. So you would get together with your friends on a Friday night and just sit in someone's basement and play music, or just to sit at home in the evening and practice your instrument. You didn't have anything else to do.
I hope it's not this, because I don't know if this is true, but I hope it isn't because there's so much pressure that, at any given moment, your friend could be filming you and putting it out there. You know what I mean? Kids are pretty hard on each other these days. I don't know.
I could see where they'd be nervous. I think it's just to take the time to put it's work.
It is.
I think I hate to say it, but I think that we live in a society now where anything that takes too much work to accomplish, it's not getting done. One of the things, I actually did a podcast earlier with Grant Coleman, and I was talking about the idea of starting a podcast studio that's set up all the time, where you can come in with your SD card and plug it in and do a podcast, and maybe even offer a service where you can hand the SD card to somebody, and all the online stuff is done.
I like this idea.
So for $10, you can use the equipment, and for another $10, we'll post it online for you. Because I think it's not rocket science, and you see this equipment here. It
Very
took me-
elaborate. Don't be tricked.
It took me a day to kind of.
What's the nuclear reactor for? I don't understand.
This is the recorder. This is what we're recording on.
okay, and
Yeah, it's
all
a
the-
Tascam field
and,
recorder.
and then the steam valve and the
All these-
flux capacitor.
Yeah, all these other things are just the cables and everything. Which this is actually. You can do this with a laptop and just microphones. It really doesn't need to be this complicated. But then to set up all the different accounts.
But it's nice.
It is.
You
It's
know,
nice, and I love it. And for me, it's not that big of a deal to go through. I think, hey, I spent about a day online setting up all the, because you have to set up an account to host the service, and then you have to set up an iTunes account and a Stitcher account, and all these different accounts, and get them all linked together and make sure they're working properly. And then I had somebody design a logo, and
I think kids would be into doing that.
I think
I don't know about actually, you
So we
know,
should throw together a
engaging
Wheeling
in a
podcast
pod-
festival.
I think, well, and then just the idea that there is a certain amount of work of scheduling guests
Yeah.
ad nauseum.
I
No,
wouldn't
but-
know anything about that.
but just unless it's ultra convenient, I feel like that a lot of people aren't going to do it. They aspire to do a lot of things, but when it comes time to doing the work, I don't see that happening a lot. And
I don't know if their work is being done elsewhere. Like why we're not seeing. Maybe they're into other stuff,
Well,
but it's
like,
not this.
another thing to think about is, when I was younger, metal was the music of the disenfranchised,
Yeah.
right? But now, hip hop has become
Yeah.
that. It's stepped into that place. So people of all races identify with hip hop. It's super super popular.
Good point.
So maybe you're not going to see necessarily people
Because they're
forming
doing hip hop.
bands,
Because
but
we
they-
do have a thriving local hip hop
Yeah,
scene,
yeah.
and there are
Yeah, some
the,
great
the
people.
25-ish people.
Oh my
doing-
gosh, I do know of one or two like high school students who are doing this
Yeah,
in
so
their
Yeah.
basement.
it could simply
Yeah.
just be a matter of you're not shining
not
your
doing
light in
rock.
the right corner.
Yeah, that's good. That's a very good point. That if
Yeah.
they're taking the time to make music, that they're really focusing more on hip hop and because if you ask Ron Scott, there's a huge hip hop community in the High Valley, and a lot of them are very good. I mean, I should know this because in our movie Need or Greed, we featured all local hip hop artists, and a lot of people came out of the movie going, that music was good. Can we get a copy of it? And we're like, yeah, we happen to have a soundtrack.
Oh,
And
nice.
Yeah.
So, good point. Maybe I'm selling people short. Although I would like to anybody that's listened this far to recommend that if you have the idea in your head to do something, be proactive. You guys could have sit around all day and talked about, oh, we should get together and play music sometime, and never actually do it. And
Oh my gosh, it was so fast. Hey, do you want to be in a band? Yes. You want to meet tomorrow? Sure.
and then you met
That's almost how it happened. And then
that
we did
day
it.
and the next day and the next day and
And it
you-
got easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to stick to a semi-consistent schedule over
Right.
the course of over a year. I mean, that is something to be proud of in itself, because that's not an easy thing to put the work in. If you think about how many hours you guys have spent on this band in the last year,
Yeah.
especially if you consider driving from Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and just not
Good
just
job, Josh.
yeah.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
The, what you've taken out of your life and everything to put towards being in a band, it's a lot of work. And but you guys are smiling
It's
about it.
rewarding.
It's worth
It
it,
is
right?
We've loved
Totally worth
all
it.
of this experience.
Yeah,
We've been
I
really
can tell.
lucky. Yeah.
We're
We're into it.
and-
Still into it.
I agree, and you can tell. And so I want anybody that's listening to this realize that, yes, it is hard work, but it also really pays off.
It's cool,
And
too.
yeah, and it
It's
is
kinda
cool.
When you have people approach you after you've finally played your music out,
Yeah.
and they're just telling you how much they liked it, there's nothing.
That's
Like
awesome.
that.
It's a great feeling. Somebody called us a hologram
Yeah.
after
Nice.
the Christmas show. What did
Nice.
they say?
Yeah, I was coming down the kind of the stage exit, in the back, and there was someone hanging out there talking to Melody,
Yeah.
and she could probably tell us who that was. But I walked past him, and all he said was, "Weird Lightning is a hologram,"
That's awesome.
and I was like,
Super
"I'll
cool
take
compliment.
it."
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure what it means, but I'll take it.
Yeah. and it is worth the effort.
Absolutely.
For the I know the things that I do, that I get my fingers into, that it just enriches my life a lot. That when you're going through your regular day, to have that thing that you do in your spare time, that just makes you feel good. That you can. I mean, I think it's hard to not be thinking about something. So to have something that you love, that you can focus your attention on when you're driving in the car, or whatever, it's a great thing to have in your life, and definitely worth the effort.
Absolutely.
Just like all my efforts to get you guys scheduled on the podcast.
Oh gosh,
Hey,
yeah.
there was some effort on our side too, because
Yeah,
man.
there was. You guys.
It's been months.
It wasn't without.
we had to cancel something today to make sure we made it.
Did you guys really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you
Well,
very
yeah.
much.
I mean, Sunday, like that's it.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
You know, that's all we really got.
So we met here, had practice, and then you came.
I busted chops, but I love you.
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
worth it. This was fun.
It was fun.
I mean,
and-
we appreciate everything you do. It's
and-
great.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And I never ever was like annoyed or upset. I'm just
No.
teaching
Oh,
you
good,
guys.
thanks.
I didn't
because-
think you were.
No,
It didn't seem like your personality, but
no, and really the best guests for the podcast are people that are busy doing interesting things, and they don't have time to sit down maybe for a couple hours to do a podcast because they're out doing the things that they love.
Right.
So I love it that you guys are too busy to do my podcast. And
yeah,
We're okay with that.
yeah, we're okay.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this was a great conversation
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
with great people, all three of us.
Yeah,
I include
totally.
myself in that.
You
Now,
should.
it was worth the wait, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play again and hearing more of your music. And I totally appreciate you guys sitting down and having this great conversation
Yeah,
with
thanks,
me.
man. That was
Thanks,
great.
James.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Enough of that. This has been fun. This has been a good podcast for me, where I can be silly and lighthearted with you guys, and
Yeah.
and I like the
Get
ones.
deep next time.
I like the ones where they're deep and serious, but I like the ones where we can joke around. I like all of them. But at the end of a long weekend, this has been really fun and
Yeah.
a good way for me to close out my week and everything. So for everybody listening, and for the Weird Lightnings, aka Weird Lightning, Bethany Decker, and Josh Bommer, the Bomb,
Yeah,
the
sure.
Bomb Pop. Thank you for listening, and until the next time, see ya. Is that a good ending? Because I've been wanting to get another one. I've been told by people close to me that it's a little lackluster.
Peace. You should do that.
Am I-
that's
am I too old?
terrible.
Am I too
That's
old for peace?
terrible.
Bad.
Me and my brother, we always, when we talk on the phone, peace. But
We
we're
say
old.
bye.
I don't know if that worked for James.
Work for me, yeah.
You guys are shooting down all my ideas. It's fine.
All right, I'll catch you later.
No.
Until next time,
Don't let the door hit ya.
where the good Lord split you.
The tomb.
It's a little too graphic.
Yeah, we're not doing that. It's about butts.
Is it? I never got that.
Boy.
It's about butts, isn't it? It's about butts.
I don't see how it could be, but sure.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show you?
I'm good.
Well, with that, I'm going to cue the music.
No.
Being played off.
We're just going to fade out. How about that? It'll be the first time I faded out. I'm excited to have a fade out. Fading out now.
Existence measured by heart, drawn by lines without a start. Progressive impressions, we're in a trance. We're not victims of circumstance.